Welcome to shows. Actually, I think shows might be the biggest media I indulged in this year.
Oh, really?
Yes.
More than games.
I would say more than games.
Interesting. I think I engage in
Some
more
years
games.
is the opposite, but this year I think I watched a lot of shows. Mainly because I could work on stuff while I'm watching shows. It depends on the show.
You want to go first?
Sure. What do you have on your list here?
You can pick whatever you want or make up your own, whatever.
Okay. Wow, there's some. Oh, that's a big one. Okay, so I'll talk about the big ones so far, like Mandalorian. I watched Mandalorian. It's everything I kind of have wanted from Star Wars since, like it. I don't need the Skywalker saga, like that stuff.
Okay.
What?
No, it's just funny to say.
You know, like these new movies, I'm not that invested in it, so I'm watching them like, oh, cool, more Star Wars. Okay, having fun. Mm-hmm. I always wanted, like, just to see, like, the criminal underbelly of Star Wars, like, to see the bounty hunters, the not Force users necessarily. Mm-hmm. It's always focused on the Jedi, but this show is just, like, it's one character, really, and you just get to learn about him and Baby Yoda, and you just get to see, like, how he's kind of like an anti-hero, I guess. Is that what they call him? Yeah, he's like this anti-hero, and he's trying to protect Baby Yoda, essentially. And you just get to see like the bounty hunter side of it, which I always thought was like one of the cooler parts of Star Wars. So it's cool. You get to see all these worlds, and like each episode, like there is an overarching story, but each episode's kind of its own standalone adventure. So it's like it's fun to just watch and be like, hey, I can't wait till next week so I can watch that episode. You know. Like one episode, he's helping out this village and protecting them from like this robot thing. Mm-hmm. One episode, he's like meeting up with his old crew that he used to like do heists and shit with, and like there's just a bunch of shit to that, and they're having to break into a ship and break someone out of jail, stuff like that. It's just like one-off episodes. So for that aspect, I really enjoyed it. And you just get to see more Star Wars stuff, and it's pretty true to like the puppetness of the old movies. Because the CG stuff like has always been really weird for Star Wars, but this show is like staying very true to like how old Star Wars was, where they actually built animatronics and puppets, and like there's like a full character that is basically just like a puppet, and it's so cool in that regard. So
so you would suggest
I would recommend it. I think people expect way too much from the show from what I see. I think for the most part it's fun to just watch week to week. It's only 8 episodes, so I would say for now like it's fun, you know. And it takes place right after Return of the Jedi. So it's right after the original trilogy, and you just kind of see like how everything's in disarray and how the Empire is still like kind of thriving a bit, like and trying to like maintain itself, but it is still suffering. And
wait,
the Empire's the evil guys.
Yeah, but wait, it takes place when again?
Right after Return of the Jedi.
But how old is Yoda?
This is not the original Yoda. This is like a baby of the same race.
Oh, I had no idea. I didn't watch Mandalorian. So
okay, so like it's not the Yoda we know.
It's not the Yoda.
Okay, here's the thing. We don't have a name for Yoda's race. So everyone just calls it Baby Yoda, but
that makes so much sense now.
It's literally not. It's not Yoda.
The Yoda.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that
we still have no name for this race. So.
I had no idea. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks. That cleared it up.
Yeah, that cleared up. Maybe you were confused too.
I thought that was a Yoda. Okay.
There's not much. We have to talk about that show.
Okay. Should we talk about Watchmen?
I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting for it to finish.
Okay, because you'll have a lot to say about
it. I will have a lot to say about it.
Which makes me glad.
Also, David Lindelof. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
David Lindelof, he made Lost.
Yeah.
He wrote Lost. And from what I'm hearing, like this show is getting like show of the year, so I'm super excited. It's like 2 of my favorite things put together. So
I'll be honest, I think it's just a little bit overhyped.
I have a feeling too. Yeah, I can see that.
But that's not to say that David Lindelof or whatever is like a really good writer. Like I can tell like why he's considered like one of the best TV show writers.
Yeah.
So I can see like because of that the show is really well written, like of what's happening. One of the things that I have a nitpick with, and so this is based off the comic. So you would have had to read the comic to understand what's fully going on.
Yeah.
You can watch.
Which is kind of ballsy.
It is ballsy, but it's HBO.
Yeah.
You could watch the movie, but the movie has one change that the show doesn't, like, the movies, you're better off reading the comic, or at least reading the wiki, at least, and then maybe watching the movie, and just knowing that one change.
It's got the vagina monster.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. That's pretty much the only thing that's different.
And for those of you not understanding what that is, go look up what Kurt just said.
Yeah. So it's based off the comic, and I think it's set in today, like 2019, but it has a lot of flashbacks and all that stuff. But I like how the story does at the end, like it feels pretty like it ties up all the ends because not all the ends, but all the ones that mattered. Because there's a couple characters that like their arc didn't, like side characters that didn't fully flesh out. I'm thinking about one guy in particular.
Okay.
That like he wasn't like a main part of the like the show or anything, but like he didn't get the most satisfying ending in my opinion, like at the end. But all the parts
of the show,
yeah, he's a side character that they added in. He's not that big a deal.
Oh,
okay. But, like he's in there for a bit at the beginning, and you're kind of curious about him. But
interesting.
But for all the ones that mattered, most of the storylines I feel like conclude in a pretty good way.
So wait, is the show done?
The show's done now. Yeah.
It was just one season.
Yeah, I mean, they leave a little bit of an open end at the end that they might, one of those. It's like the classic. It's like the Inception at the end where it's like something happens, like kind of maybe, and then it just cuts, and you're like, oh, maybe something second season or not,
I see.
It's one of those.
Interesting.
But it maintains the tone of Watchmen, I think, really well.
Yeah.
It does a lot of good callbacks. Like it tries to stay within the world and kind of narrow, which is good, right? Like it doesn't try to branch out to too many crazy things and like pull in shit that doesn't matter or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it plays it pretty well. Like I can see why Lindelof is really good at writing TV shows and shit like that. One thing my nitpick was that Laurie, the Silk Spectre,
yes,
how she's old and stuff now.
Yeah.
Is that she's a little bit, some of the character, like some of the writing, it's like it's a little bit too clever for me, like not because it goes over my head, but because of the tone. Like it's kind of like I get it, she's clever, like I think she's too too like curt or too like smart, like kind of like too much for me, like she overdoes it a little bit.
I see. Okay.
But it's not her fault. It's because the writing is like she's trying to be like cool because she's old now and she's like all this attitude. And she's
I
like,
see. Okay.
Yeah, like I know
kind
what
of
you're saying.
understand what you mean.
It's kind of like when like it's not her fault because it's the writing, but like the character like has to overplay. Like she's overplaying the part where she's like, I'm so cool. You know what I mean?
See, yeah.
But I mean, I was talking to my sister about it, and she was saying like, well, she kind of has to be because she used to be like, in the Halcyon days, like one of these big vigilante superheroes.
Yeah, exactly.
So like now when she's old, she can't just be kind of like dry. She can't be like a plain character because there's all this like she's supposed to be awesome, right? Like she's supposed to be she used to be this awesome superhero.
Yeah.
So she needs some type of character that's kind of, and also like some of the other I won't spoil anything, but some of the other superhero characters, because of the nature of the story, they can't be super over the top necessarily. Mm-hmm. So like that leaves it to the other ones to be more over the top. So one of them would be Laurie, right? And then Ozymandias is really well done too, I think.
Yeah, that actor is pretty good too.
Yeah, right. Like, but overall, like I did enjoy the show a lot, of being like a big Watchmen fan as well.
Yeah.
I think. It's because originally when I was watching it, I wasn't as hyped about it as I wasn't like as I'm sitting on it. I'm like, no, it was definitely like a really good show. It was a really, really well done show.
All right, I definitely need to watch it then.
Did you want to do one?
Yeah, I watched The Witcher.
Okay.
I watched it twice now, actually.
Wow. I played the game twice, watching the show twice.
Yeah. The show's good. I think it's pretty true to like the source material for the most part. The makeup and effects are pretty good. I was pretty impressed by like the set designs and stuff.
But as a Witcher fan, does it feel true to the source material?
I honestly wouldn't call myself the biggest Witcher fan.
Okay.
I never beat the third game or whatever.
Okay.
I didn't play any of the other games. I never read the books either, so.
As someone who's played The Witcher.
Yeah, okay. I think it does a really good job. The monsters and the effects are really well done. I think the monsters are the best part. There's like this fucking weird like incestuous girl that like turns into this weird fucking creature at night. There's like little demons. There's a dragon.
All of it.
I think that show... Okay, there's a lot of articles saying how the timeline's a fucking mess, which at first it kind of is, because... They set up 3 character stories.
But this is the guy that loves Metal Gear, so
yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, right? What the fuck? No, that's a mess too. But I had no problem with it, but I was also like, wait, is this shit happening in the future and this is happening in the past? Like, it took me like 4 episodes before I'm like, oh wait, what the fuck? These things are happening at different times, like, because it sets it up almost like they're happening congruently, like at the same time.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people were hating on the show because of that, but I was like, whatever. To me, the first 2 episodes are kind of not that amazing. By the 3rd episode, it starts to become kind of like one-off adventures, and that's where, for some reason, these shows lately, like, I prefer the one-off adventure thing, because then it gets a lot more lighthearted, and it's kind of like, okay, here's the monster for this episode that he's got to deal with and stuff. Like, there's still like the bits and pieces of an overarching story, but it's kind of like, okay, in this episode, he's got to help these people in the north and like try to get rid of this weird like girl creature I told you about and stuff like that. And then there's like kind of the secrets behind that. Or,
I heard him like Henry Cavill as Henry Cavill, right?
Yeah.
As what's his name? Geralt.
He does a good job.
He's like really good.
I wasn't expecting it, but after a while, I was kind of like, yeah, this guy's Geralt, man. He got it down.
Yeah, because they're like
the voice down. He's jacked, you know.
Despite the story and the pacing being kind of weird, they're like he plays Geralt like really really well.
He did it very well. I was really impressed. And the Yennefer chick, she's pretty good too.
Oh yeah, I heard they casted it very well. Like,
they did cast it very well.
Generally, they casted it very well.
And I haven't seen a show this high fantasy, like ever, like from the get go. Like, you know what I mean? Like Game of Thrones was still kind of grounded in like somewhat realism. You know, it's still about people. Like there's zombies and shit. I know that, but it takes a long time to get to that stuff. And it never hits you over the head with it. But this show is kind of like.
Yeah.
There's a whole like mages society, like look, there's magic and it's illusions and there's other shit like that. Like I haven't seen a show like this high fantasy.
I see, yeah.
Like there's a dragon that talks. There's like shit like that. And it's like, oh whoa, okay.
What about Hercules in the 90s?
Yeah, maybe. I recommend it. I heard it's like the most streamed show this year or something.
Yeah. Okay.
I enjoyed it.
I'll check it out.
I would. It's worth a watch.
Yeah. Okay. And then another one that I have to mention is Chernobyl.
Yes. Tell me about that show. I heard
you didn't watch
such good things about it.
You didn't watch it? I mean, I feel like that's what I've been saying whenever Chernobyl comes up. Like, you didn't watch Chernobyl?
Yeah, right? It was like, 4 episodes, right?
I think so. 4. Yeah. Actually, you know what's funny? I didn't even finish. I got to like almost the end and I didn't finish it just because. So me and my girlfriend are watching it. And then they're at this part where they have to kill all the animals that are in the area because they are also infected by the nuclear or the
nuclear disaster,
the waste and all that stuff. But like, that show is it's crazy. It's because it's real. Like it's real because they start like pretty much right when the reactor explodes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so you're like in the facility, and then the people are just like tripping out. Like there's one guy like, and I'm glad they don't. So like, they're just in denial. Right, like the guy that's running it, like I don't know, the captain or whatever, the guy that's in charge, is just like that's impossible. Like that's not because based on all their tests, like that's not supposed to happen. Like there's no way that could happen that it explodes.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's no way. We just have to start running water in the thing because we need to cool it down. And they're like, there's no reactor. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, that's impossible. Like, what do you mean there's no reactor? He's like, you're stupid.
Really?
And so they're just in denial for the first bit. And I'm glad they don't stick on that too long because I thought, first bit, I thought the whole show was going to be that.
Just like the fight between, like, it's real.
Yeah, and they're like, no, it's not real.
No, we're going to cover this up.
Yeah, because, and then but it's because after that they start to like see the gravity, like if it does, like if this is true, then this is the gravity of it, and then there's all this proof of like, yeah, this is what happened. It fucking so very quickly within the first episode they're like, yeah, okay, this is real. And then to the point they show all the like the news and stuff of like in Germany they're not letting the kids play outside even, and they're seeing like how the effects of it could affect the whole continent. Over like years, like hundreds of years and whatever. And it's just the gravity of like how disastrous this is, and it's also like just humanity like at its worst kind of like how we like to fuck with things always, and we're trying to like we want more power, and it's like I don't know, the whole show is just it's just crazy, like and like they show all the like the sacrifices they had to make, like they had to like throw people to do all these things because like there's no other way to like stop the like there's a chance that there's going to be another explosion because of like it takes a while to explain, but just because of all the damage, there could have been a second explosion, so they had to send more people in that were just gonna probably die after like a week or two because of all the radiation. just to like fix that shit so it wouldn't explode again. But there's a lot of those type of scenarios where they just need people to go and do things that they're probably gonna get super radiation, but like there's no choice, right? It's either that or like the continent suffers, the whole world gets fucked.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Exactly, right? And there's those sacrifices, and that's like it's crazy. Like the whole time you're watching the show and you're like,
no, please don't send them.
Yeah. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's on my list. I definitely need to watch it.
But it's weird because it's weird to like I remember before watching it, I'm like, I don't know if I willingly want to walk into like I know what the show is gonna be like.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
right?
Like, it's hard to get you in that mindset. Where, like, same with movies that you're like, this is gonna be sad. Like, okay, am I ready for?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like as I've gone older, it's a bit easier to do that. But still, there's times like I don't feel like being really sad right now.
Yeah. But then once you start, you can't stop.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I need to. Oh, and then my one nitpick real quick.
Yeah.
Is that there's this one fireman that goes and puts out the fires, and then he has a wife that's pregnant, and it's just like you're not supposed. So I remember them trying to explain it is like the atoms or the electron is like moving so fast, like that's what radiation or something like that. That it's like they're like bullets. Right, so like when you touch something, it hits the other electrons, and they start moving too. So it quickly just kind of spreads.
Oh.
So so then anyway, so like if she's pregnant, you're not supposed to touch her belly or anything because it would affect the child eventually.
Oh.
Right. But they don't know that, and then so like his arc particularly, like I couldn't watch, or like I didn't really want to watch. Cause like what's gonna happen. Right, like because they don't know, and because he's all like fucked up in bed because he's like super radiation because he was putting out the fire right at the site, and then she's like, oh, but like, and then she like puts his hand on her stomach, and I'm like, no, stop!
Oh
like,
my God.
They just really hit you with that stuff, and that was the one arc I couldn't watch, but obviously. I couldn't watch the part where they're about to kill the animals and stuff, but but I mean,
some shows go there because even Witcher is like, well, there's dead babies in this and shit
yeah.
like that. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. But Chernobyl's, I think it's important to watch also just because it's a historic thing.
It's a historical event. Right? It's a really cool historical event, as devastating as it is.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
You want to pick a happier one to move on to?
I think Rick and Morty.
You watch Rick and Morty?
I watched like half the. Wait, how many episodes?
There's 5 right now only.
Yeah. I've only seen 3.
Okay, yeah. So far, Rick and Morty's really good.
Yeah,
I just love Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it's fun.
Sim's favorite one is. Did you watch the You Son of a Bitch, I'm In? Did you watch that one?
Oh yeah, the heist one.
The heist one, yeah. Like that one's hilarious.
I liked it. I really like the toilet one too.
That one's my favorite one.
Yeah, I think
that's my favorite one.
Yeah,
where like Rick finally gets a friend, kind of in a very Rick way.
Yeah.
So if you like Rick and Morty, you definitely gotta check out. I mean, you probably heard this. Son of a bitch, I'm in. So Rick and Morty's
I programmed you to to think that.
Randomize. Yeah. Anyway, but what's another one? Oh, The Boys. We both watch The Boys, right?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen The Boys?
No, everyone gives me that reaction.
You gotta watch The Boys.
I have heard good things. Yeah.
The Boys is really good. So if you guys don't know what The Boys are, The Boys is. It's kind of like a darker take on superheroes.
Dickhead superheroes.
But it's like in the real world they would be celebrities.
Yeah.
And they're kind of owned and run by like a corporation that has like corporate interests that they're kind of like, if they defeat these enemies or whatever, they can make it into like a movie, and they're thinking about profitability. They're like, we need to have like our numbers up. We need to like save more people in this area because we need to make more money and sell more T-shirts or whatever. Like kind of that mentality.
Jeez, like capitalism at its finest.
Yeah, like so as a result, like these superheroes aren't necessarily like the best people.
They're not altruistic. They're doing it for.
And spoiler: The Boys. The title "The Boys" doesn't actually refer to the superheroes. It refers to the band of whatever that is like these boys. I don't want to spoil anything. That's why I'm being kind of vague with it. But they're trying to sabotage and trying to get back at the superheroes for the shitty things they've done. So like, there's a lot of things that like the superheroes do that are very questionable and probably just outright wrong and evil, but in the name of like being. Like saving their face or like I don't know if I should spoil it really, but like there's one point where a superhero like ends up kind of like not saving a bunch of people because he couldn't and he doesn't want to, and it's like, and he uses it as a way to like it's actually like it's kind of like American propaganda almost, right, where he uses like, they didn't have to die, so we need you guys to like sign so this is one of the things is they're trying to make superheroes part of the military.
Oh.
So he used it as a thing to like all
like,
these
get
people
people to
died.
sign
Like
up.
if we knew, then you guys could sign the petition to get us into the military. Something like that, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's like he let those people die though.
So that
but they don't know that though.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh, if they let us know ahead of time because we would have been in the military, we would have known. Like just all these things, there's all these twisted ways in which they use their powers, and they're not necessarily the best people. And then there's also all the sub story, or I guess it's not the sub story, but all the stuff of like where they came from and how they are the way they are. One thing it's not that I didn't like, but I'm not as attached to, is the main character's story that you start with, because he's like heavily affected by the superheroes doing shitty things. And like his story I actually just don't really care about. But a lot of the other plot lines I am very curious about. The end leaves you on like this cliffhanger where you're like, whoa, this whole, because they're telling you this one kind of storyline throughout, and then at the end you're like, they reveal something that's like, oh, he was wrong. Like that was the whole story, like that whole thing, like he was wrong, like they lied to him or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they reveal that and you're like, whoa, the whole time. Ah.
Dang.
So then the second season I'm super hyped for.
How many episodes is there?
I
So,
forgot.
8 to 10? Why are all shows 8 to 10 episodes?
Yeah, they're kind of
now?
8 to 10. I forgot how many there are.
I remember when shows were 24 episodes. Mind you, they don't need to be that long anymore, but come on.
Yeah, I guess.
Give me some more.
But you got to watch The Boys.
Okay.
The Boys is definitely something you got to
Okay,
watch.
that's on my list. I think we should tackle the big one.
Yeah, okay. I didn't watch it because I didn't care, but you can
okay.
watch it. So we're going to
Game
talk about...
of Thrones, Season 8. Okay. It was too short. They should have more episodes, blah, blah, blah. I didn't necessarily hate every choice they made. Like, you tell your story, that's fine. I think all the fan theories are way cooler than what we got.
There's that meme where it's like George R. R. Martin's way of storytelling, and it's like a maze.
Yeah.
And it's like, he goes through all the maze
Yeah,
like this.
yeah.
And they're like, these guys, the way they wrote Game of Thrones in the TV series is like, they just skips all the like...
Oh, yeah. They
right?
skip the
And
maze and they go to the...
They just go, they're just like, yeah, fuck
like
it.
bulldoze through it or something.
Yeah.
It was 6 episodes, which is like, yo, this is the end of your fucking 8-season arc. Like, you're gonna give us 6 episodes, and the first 2 episodes, which were actually some of the best of that season, it was just like they're very slow. And it's like, yo, pick up the pace. You got 2 fucking giant battles that need to happen. Like, what the hell? We've been building up to this. So if they even did 10 episodes, I think they would have got maybe a bit less backlash. But it's kind of like, yo,
It is they rushed it.
they wanted to piece the fuck out. You can see it.
They're just like, I'm done now. It's like, I'm
Which
done.
is so shitty.
It's
It's
just
like,
tired. I'm done.
aside from the beginning, the end is so important. Like, you know, like, if that can ruin it and sully a whole show for people, like, you probably should nail that part.
Maybe it was a strategy to get people to read the books because it was so unsatisfying in the show.
I don't know. The people are going to read the books regardless, I feel like.
Okay, yeah.
What I do hate...
Oh, yeah? Another thing?
No, this isn't about the show. This is the discourse around Game of Thrones. It pisses me off that people go, oh, ruined the whole show. Like, oh, that show sucks. This show's a piece of shit. It's like, no, it's still a good show. I'm very appreciative that this show was made because now it's like opened the door for so many other big budget shows that will go in weird directions, like fantasy wise and all these things. Like, and just having such a grandiose story with all these characters that intertwine, like I'm very appreciative that this show was made. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I still think it is one of my all-time favorite shows, despite that ending. I don't think that like sullies the whole thing for me. Like, it's the same thing I was talking about earlier with Star Wars, and people are like, oh, Disney movies ruin Star Wars or prequels ruin Star Wars. It's like, no, you still have fucking the Star Wars you love.
Yeah.
You just have this extra
like season
shit.
1 Game of Thrones is still great.
It's still great. Season like 1 to I would even say 6 for me are good. Like 7 is still alright. It has some really dumb timeline shit. Like, things are going way too fast.
I think I fell off around...
Yeah, that's fair. And then season 8 is just like, holy shit, we're just jumping from here to here to here to here. Let's skip this whole plot line, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. It made me sad. It made me sad. But at the same time, I was also like, I got some really cool things out of this. Like, I was still happy with some of these storylines.
Yeah.
They could have done so much more, no doubt. They probably should have... In my perfect world, and like HBO did offer them like as much money as they wanted, they would have done 10 episodes this season and one last season to just like deal with the Daenerys stuff. Mm-hmm. That's just a whole season of Daenerys. We're good. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, they didn't. So,
so to end on a good note,
there's
also another show that I don't think a lot of people, at least in my circles, have heard of. Have you heard of Fleabag?
I heard it got some awards.
It got a lot of awards apparently.
I heard a lot of good things. I have no idea what it's about.
So it's a British actress, and she made or a comedian, I think. Maybe?
Yeah, she's a comedian. I think.
But she made a show. It's a comedy show.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to say it a comedy show, but it's like it's a funny show.
Maybe like a dramedy.
Yeah, dramedy. But like I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really good. Like it's clever, it's funny.
Okay.
It's British humory.
Are you able to like say the concept without spoiling
she's
it?
basically okay. So basically, she's a girl, lives in. Well, it doesn't really matter. She owned a coffee shop with her best friend.
Okay.
And then I guess it's kind of spoilery, but like not really. Okay, this is the synopsis, I think. Right? She owned a coffee shop with her best friend, and then her best friend died recently. Okay. And so she's like going through some stuff. She's also like dealing like her dad. She has like daddy issues.
Okay.
She has like attachment issues. She feels like she's selfish.
Yeah.
She's obviously doesn't have the best relationships. But she's snarky and she's funny and she's like there's always an aside, like she talks to the camera, she breaks the fourth wall a lot, and that's where the cleverness comes in. I see. Right, like if you just watch the first like 3 minutes, I think a lot of like it gives a good like perspective from like a girl's perspective on a lot of things. Just as like the funny part, like the funny parts, like the beginning, the first 3 minutes starts off with her like, you know when you're like you get a call, like a drunk call from a guy at like 2 a.m. and you have to like put on your makeup and pretend you came home just now and like drink a bunch of liquor and then open the door like you forgot he was even coming over and then it happens, right? And then she opens the door and he's like, hey, and she's like, hey, right? And then it's like, and then you get to it immediately and then they get to it. So there's all this cleverness of her talking to the camera and it playing out, and then she talks to the camera, and then it's I don't know, it's very well done. Like it's very, very funny. She's a great actor or actress. Sorry.
It's like breaking the fourth wall, like House of Cards style in a way.
Better, I'd say. Okay, because it plays with the comedy.
Oh, okay, right? That's good.
Like what's the or like when her boyfriend's like, don't come back. And don't show up at my house naked, it won't work. And she's like, it will. Like she tells us, like, it will. Yeah. Right? Like so the way she does it is just very clever and very snarky. Like it makes you laugh. It makes you feel like she's talking to you.
Give me that inner monologue.
Yeah. And then but she's using it, like I haven't watched all of it, but she's using it too in a good way. Like the show uses it in a good way where you think like she thinks she knows everything, like it's gonna happen. But then sometimes it doesn't, and you can tell like she's like distressed, like, oh shit, maybe I'm wrong, like maybe that didn't happen the way I thought, and it's kind of like unearthing some of the things that her assumptions about the world a little bit. But it's just entertaining because it's funny, but it's also like it's very relatable too. Right?
I can see that. Yeah,
like she like in it's like I don't know if this is
millennial humor.
Yeah, like she like for example in the first episode she shows up at her dad, like I said, daddy issue, like her dad was shitty. She shows up at her dad's house and she's drunk and she like wants to like say something. And then she says all the stuff like why I'm all shitty and blah, 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 like lists all the things of like her like her insecurities and stuff. And then the dad's just like, well, you get all that from your mother, you know. And you know what I mean? And it's just like the way it's written, it's just very clever and just I don't know, it's a really good show. Like just watch the first like couple minutes of it, or like even just the first episode and just see if you like it. I'm sure like most people will like it. Like it's a very good show. I recommend it to most people, I think.
Okay. 2 honorable mentions real quick. I finally watched Westworld. I watched both seasons. Season 2. Season 1's perfect, in my opinion. It's like a pretty immaculate season of a show.
Yep.
The second season, it's just going off the rails, and I'm on board. I'm like, take me, I don't care.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Then Mr. Robot. Have you ever watched Mr. Robot?
Yeah, that's not enough of it, though.
One of my favorite shows. Okay. That is another show that talks to the camera, but it's almost, he's crazy, and it's like him talking to himself, but it's done in a way that he's talking to you as the audience. So that's great. And the 4th season just came out, and apparently it's really good. I haven't watched it yet. I'm excited, so... Yeah.
Oh, and then there's one more that I haven't watched enough of, but I've just been catching my girlfriend watch it. Oh, yeah. And I watch it with her occasionally. You on Netflix.
Oh, I've just watched season 2.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Have you watched all of it up until then?
I'm like 2 episodes away from finishing the season.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's got Chris D'Elia.
Because to me, it's like, it's done, not exactly, but like it's Dexter.
Yeah.
It's pretty much
in
Dexter.
A way. But this guy...
he talks to the camera, there's flashbacks of him as a child, he kills people, it's the same thing.
It is, yeah. This guy, it is a lot like Dexter.
But it's more for, like, the teen heartthrob.
Oh, it is.
Like...
Girls want to suck this guy's dick. They love crazy white guys. My God.
He was in Gossip Girl,
He was the Gossip Girl. Was he? Apparently, I don't know. That's what I was told. It's the way he does it is pretty good. I actually enjoyed it, and I don't usually like these type of shows, so I was like, oh, this is fun. No, so far I like it. It's got Chris D'Elia. in the season,
Mhm.
and he does a pretty good job acting because I don't really think of him as an actor much, but he does. He's basically him, but if he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So those are our shows of 2019.
Yes. Check them out.
Definitely watch Fleabag. That's my
Yeah.
first recommendation, I think. But yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for watching. That was our end of the year 2019 recap.
Yeah. Sick. Bye, guys.